And you know, the three strikes and look, how did
I think it's still good to discuss briefly. Testing the audio. Test. Testing again. Talking at a regular level.
Nina, you want to do a sound check?
Yep, sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Ready to go?
Okay. Good evening. We're all set, Debbie?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to call to order the Harpers Ferry Town Council meeting for Monday, January 13th, 2025. Would you all please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approval of agenda. Council, I have several items to strike. And George, I think you have one.
I have one as well.
And Roberta has one. All right, so let's start with mine and we go down the list. We are striking 5G, Roman numeral 2.
5 what?
G as in George,
Thank you.
Roman numeral 2.
Okay.
We are striking 7B as in boy. We are striking 7G as in George.
Okay.
7G,
7G. And we are striking 7D, correct, George?
7
D is in David.
D's and David.
You're
That's my
striking that
strike.
one. That's yours, right?
That's mine.
Okay.
That's my motion and that's my strike.
Okay. All right.
That's mine.
So Roberta, you have a strike.
I don't have a strike, sir, but I have a reorder. If I could move item 6A to after 4A. And that's because if anyone is here, speak on behalf of the public, we'll get them taken care of pretty quickly.
See, after 4.
6A after 4A.
Roberta, may I suggest that occur instead right after the Hilltop Hotel report?
It does, after 4A.
So I'm gonna
So 6A after 4A.
3A. 3A is the Hilltop report.
Yeah, but I don't really want it to be under community announcements. So
Chris
Well,
wants to keep that.
whatever.
I think it's fine after 4A.
I'm sorry,
6A,
Roberta.
6A after 4A.
Roberta, I'm sorry. I was
I'm sorry.
engaged here.
Yes, sir.
So you want to do 6A to follow 4A, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I have a move. So,
Okay, go ahead, George.
because of community members here, I'd like to move 6B after 2. 6B after 2.
6B.
B is in Bob. After 2 is in Dose.
Nina has her hand up.
All right, I'll be right there. Nina, hang with me for a minute.
I also have a point of clarification at some point.
Go ahead, Nina.
I'd like to postpone the regular minutes for December 9th for February's meeting. So could we postpone that? That's 4A.
Okay.
All right, Zach.
Just a point of clarification, are we handling all of these as one motion? So we'll need a motion to amend this.
It would seem that that's the road we're going.
Yeah,
I just, to make Nina's life easier
It
recording
can,
this.
it can be separated, but no one has made that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can do it as amended. And Storm, are you sitting in for?
Helping as
Nina?
required, yes.
Okay, So let me go over the strikes and the moves.
I thought the storm had a strike remove also.
I do not.
Okay. so
Okay. All right, so the strikes are 5G as in George 2. The strike is 7B as in boy. The strike is 7G as in George. The strike is 7D,
I do have a strike.
okay?
I have to find it. That would be
B,
5B8.
5B
6, 7, 8.
8.
Old Time Christmas?
B,
Yes.
H.
All right, any more before I try to round this up? All right, so let me start all over again. These are your strikes. The strikes are 5G as in George, 7B as in boy, 7G as in George, 7D as in David, 5B as in boy, 8. We are then going to move 6B to follow number 2. We're then going to move 6A to follow number 4. And then we are striking 4A. Okay, everybody, is there anybody?
And 5B8. And also striking.
I
He
never
mentioned
said that.
Oh, that was at the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, is anybody confused?
No, but I'm not going to accept the agenda as given.
I think.
Okay.
we-
Is there a second on?
I make a second on the motion.
Is there a discussion? All those in favor of the amended motion? Thank you.
Yeah.
After those strikes, we can go home and watch the game. Okay, so let's go with public comments. Nina, do we have it?
I have them here.
Oh, okay.
The first is Mark Hall speaking on 5B3. Yes, and also you need one of these little dongles.
Is it on already?
Yeah, this goes to our recorder who's remote.
This my name is Mark Hall, resident of Auburn. I'm here to discuss item 5E. This is the discussion and action connecting the existing Woodpecker Woods Trail to Cambridge Street. My public comment is as follows. I know Mr. Jackson for a long time tried to get a house built off Cambridge Street and had a real nice plan. But it didn't seem like he could get access. And it seems quite redundant to have ulterior access on Cambridge Street when there is access, but 10 feet away on Putnam Street for this. That is all.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Sure.
Next is Natalie Grantham speaking on 7A.
Thank you very much for your comment.
7A.
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 I have some visual aids too.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to take one and pass it down. Hi, my name is Natalie Grantham. I am speaking on behalf of the Jefferson County Foundation. So I'm Natalie Grantham. I'm a Middle Way resident, and you might wonder why I'm all the way here in Harpers Ferry. So many of you all may realize of the Middle Way water bottling plant that is proposed at the old 3M site. It's an industrial site right outside the historic district. So the reason I'm here in good old Harpers Ferry is because I am very concerned about our groundwater. And as we all know, all of our groundwater is connected thanks to our karst topography. So that's my concern. So if this development is allowed to use the groundwater extraction, it will set a precedent that could very well take place in other parts of Jefferson County. And Harpers Ferry's primary water source is the Elks Run, the Elks Branch, the Elks Branch. And the headwaters of the Elks Branch at Gap View Farm have been dry since Rockville started operating. So this is something that, the foundation has monitored and anyone, paying attention is concerned about, right? So if a second groundwater extraction-based facility is developed in the Elks Run and Elks Branch, then the Elks Branch could be jeopardized. And so this is a concern for all of us. And clean water, plentiful water, as well as, we're here in Harpers Ferry. We also have a historic district in Middle Way. we are also concerned about tourism and all of these various things. So we just want to be paying attention and to ask you all to write a letter for the Planning Commission about your thoughts on
That map question of the,
Clarification only, Roberta.
yes, so the two maps that you're giving us, can you explain them a little bit? And then can you show us where Lake Louisa is on these maps?
Yes, so Lake Louise is in the bottom left there, sort of. So this right here is where Middle Way is. It's like right around here. But so that's another part of this is there has not been a comprehensive water study done in Jefferson County since the late 80s. So these maps come from this 1988 water study. Like seriously, I was 10 years old. So that is part of the issue is that there are so many unknowns. So you can see like where I pointed out is Middle Way, but you can also see that a lot of these maps are where dye was inserted and then the direction that it flows. So that is our concern, you know, I mean, you put the dye in, it comes out miles and miles and miles later, and that's just the thing. There's just not a lot of answers, and that is all the reasons we're concerned. So yeah.
Excellent presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next is Juliana Bronia, also 7A.
Hello. My name is Juliana Brania. I'm a resident of Farmingville. I am also here to talk about Middle Way Bottling Plant. I'd like to give you some information, if you don't mind passing it down. Just picking up where my colleague Natalie left off, we're talking about groundwater extraction here, and I'd like to give you some brief information about groundwater extraction as it applies to Jefferson County zoning ordinances. As you'll see, we have some select pages there. The first one lists zoning ordinance 1.3, letter D. It's highlighted for you. Basically, this zoning ordinance states that if a activity or use is not explicitly listed on permitted uses, which you'll find later on in the packet there, it should be assumed to be prohibited. So a use does not need to be on the prohibited list to be in fact prohibited. I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that groundwater extraction is not included on that list of uses in the back. Therefore, we should all assume that it is in fact prohibited. What we would like to clarify here is the idea that there are ways for the zoning ordinance to be added to and revised. It is called an Article 12 process. It's basically the method in which the zoning ordinance can be updated. This would allow the people of Jefferson County the opportunity to give their public comment and really participate in the process. So what we're encouraging you all to please, in your letter that we hope you will write, is to encourage the Planning Commission and County Commission to pursue this Article 12 text amendment process. In this way, the people of Jefferson County can voice their opinion, specifically just to decide whether or not groundwater extraction is an activity or a use that we want to do here. If it is something that the people of Jefferson County want to do, we'll have the opportunity to put protections that would limit any negative effects that would happen here. So that's about it. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Very nice.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
your time. I
Juliana.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jesse Melton speaking on 6B.
So as you guys remember, I was here last month and appealed to the town council to address the noise problem from the barn. Within days of that, my coming here, I had a visit from Mayor Faraday, who acknowledged the issue and the need for a solution. We're still a long way from a resolution, but I'm here tonight to express my gratitude to Mayor Vaughn for his immediate response and Councilman Owens for his listening to all of us, all the residents, and even the ones in Bolivar, and just being dogged persistence in pursuing a diplomatic resolution to all this. And, you know, I saw that there was an agenda item about this, which I didn't know, but so I guess I owe the entire town council a little bit of a thanks too. And that's the only reason I'm here, is to express my sincere gratitude to you guys for just moving this forward. It's a really big deal for everybody. And so thank you, Mayor Vaughn. Thank you, Councilman Miller. Thank you, County Council. And thank you, Mayor Paraday, for moving this forward in that spirit of cooperation. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank
you, Jesse.
May I ask a question of this?
Yeah, sure. This is an agenda item, Roberta, or is it public? Is it public comment or? Is it
Public comment.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and clarify,
Yeah.
Roberta.
So your discussions with residents, can you kind of elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, we've, kind of collected concerns from residents, and we're going back around next week, and we're talking to them about what they would like to see, in a solution. But with this agenda item, on here, I've always placed my trust in you guys to sort this out, that that there's a problem. And, I think we'll do that. So, I'm going to speak to Bolivar next month to those folks and express the concerns of the Bolivar residents of Bolivar County as well.
Excuse me, clarification, you said you're going to be speaking to the Bolivar Council next month?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're on their agenda to speak to them.
Well, not yet, but
You will be. Okay, very good.
they're expecting.
They're expecting this. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
But thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much,
Jesse. That's the last comment.
Okay, thank you, Storm.
Oh, I really like it.
You won't be the first to walk off. That's why we have a police officer.
Thanks again, Jesse. Okay, mayor's announcement. I only have one, and I just want to make an acknowledgement for two of town employees. I guess it was last week. I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday. When was that? What day was it? Monday or Tuesday of last week. We had one Harpers Ferry police officer coming on duty, and I don't know if it was Steve Corbin or Adam Betts, and we had one Harpers Ferry police officer going off duty, and they were meeting down on, I think, Shenandoah Street just to exchange information while one is relieving the other. A 911 call, Steve Corbin noticed come over his console right away, a fire in Lower Town on Potomac Street in one of the businesses. They were there probably in less than 30 seconds. I got to tell you that I think, based on talking with Steve and Verlissa and the chief, I believe their quick action saved extensive damage in one of the structures down there. They were there, they recognized what was going on. Adam Letts went out to his cruiser, picked up the extinguisher, brought it in while Steve was monitoring the fire, and they got the fire out. And then Steve is a EMT, former EMT. He tended to the burn. The individual was burned in the face area, and tended to him until rescue got there, several minutes later. So, John, I would appreciate if you would mention something on behalf of myself and the town council, our thanks and gratitude to Steve and Adam for their efforts last week. Thanks, John.
Accommodation we can honor?
I can talk with the chief about that, sure.
I'm glad that was our 10-year fire that we see.
Yeah. And that's all I had. Nina?
Yeah, I just have a quick announcement. Starting today through January 25th is the time for filing for municipal elections if you plan on running. There are forms available. It's called the Candidate Certificate of Announcement. They can be available via email. If you email Verlissa and myself, it's the recorder at Harpers Ferry or the clerk at Harpers Ferry email address. We also have physical copies that are available in the office, and with instructions on those on how to file properly and follow the process. If you have any questions, you can just send me an email and be sure to get back to you pretty quickly on next steps.
Okay, thank you, Nina.
Yep.
All right, we'll go to 6B. I know Jesse has left, but I don't know, George, if there's any additional information regarding that issue that you want to share. I can, for the record, let this council know what I've done. I have met with Chief Brown many times on this issue, and I have met with the mayor of Bolivar many times on this issue to discuss the concerns. But you have to realize we can only do so much. It is not in our jurisdiction, but we are acutely aware of it. If the situation was reversed, I would expect the same situation from Bolivar. So I know Steve, as the mayor of Bolivar, is very concerned about this. And I think it's a good thing. And I was going to suggest to Jesse that he do one of two things. He either goes to the Bolivar Town Council and requests a meeting, or he meets with the mayor of Bolivar, whatever. So I'm glad he's taken a step to go before Bolivar and just express his concern very eloquently, like he did here 5 minutes ago. So that's what I've done. I'm aware of it. I can't send the Harpers Ferry police over there, and it's just I can't do it. But I am concerned because we have a resident who has an issue, and I'm very determined to get that resolved to his benefit.
Okay.
Anything else on that, George? And then Roberta.
What I was going to put in that is, yes, we have a family that was driven out several years ago by that noise, allegedly. I'll say allegedly here, so I don't get in trouble. We have a family who's given notice to their neighbors that they're putting their house on the market. This is after they put a expensive metal roof on it. This is a woman who works for the Park Service. She has walked to work. She has a wonderful life. Children are friends in the neighborhood. This is a tragedy. So that's the way I'm approaching this. This is a town tragedy. I also want to say that I've researched this a bit before speaking to Mayor Parody, and the county has regulations for noise before 10 o'clock and after 10 o'clock. The measurement, the standard is taken from 25 feet from the boundary of the property, and there's decibel levels. 25 feet from the property in question, the boundary of that property, is physically within Harpers Ferry. Now, I feel that a law enforcement solution on this is a level of is beneath this community in terms of our civility, and I think Jesse adequately speaks to that. He's a civil man with a grievance, but he's civil. I think we should be civil. For that reason, I think that we should engage with the town council of Bolivar to sit down with the business owners and find a civil solution to this. And to that end, I'd like to offer to join Jesse in representing this council as a listener to find out what can be done. And so that's what I'd like to see this agenda item go on to here. I'd like to volunteer to do that.
You can volunteer to do anything, George. Okay.
Well, I know, but I'd like to represent. I mean, I've spoken to the mayors of private citizens, to Mayor Bolivar. I'd like to represent us to their council.
Well, I'm not sure.
So.
I'm not sure.
Let other folks speak.
Roberta?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In regards to this, I understand the property was a change of use at one time. I would think the original use, maybe for that structure or the site, was storage. So it went through probably a change of use permit through the town of Bolivar. So may I make some requests that we, as a town council, maybe get the information from the town of Bolivar? Is what did that change of use permit require? Were there any conditions placed on the approval of that permit? Or if it went through a rezoning or something, was there any conditions placed on that project that they had to meet? Certain hours of operation, noise limits, et cetera, et cetera. So I think if we can maybe ask that of the town of Bolivar to have their zoning department maybe present that to us, we might have some better tools to work with to make a valid decision and a valid discussion And I would support a town council member representing us as a body in conjunction with this. I think that would be a good exercise that we would look to partnering with Bolivar to get this resolved.
Anything else, Storm?
I believe we should let the process work as it has been. We currently have the heads of both towns who are in communication, and we have a citizen of our town who's taken the initiative to approach Bolivar. Also, I'd be a little leery of how we present things to another municipality. Imagining if someone in Bolivar came here and started demanding things, or a member of Bolivar Town Council came. So kind of mindful of how that is presented, but of course, any town council members who want to attend, it's absolutely, I feel, appropriate and a good thing.
Thank you. Zach?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty important issue. It affects a lot of folks in Upper Town who are our residents, as well as folks in Bolivar. And I just don't want to see it disappear. I know that thanks to Jesse's volunteerism, he's come here and given us a couple updates. Sounds like there will be another meeting in Bolivar. I think it would be healthy and helpful for us to at least get another update at our next town council meeting, whether that's official representation at the meeting or, I don't know if Steve or Jesse would be willing to come talk to us again, but I just don't want it to fall off.
All right, second and last, Roberta.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. If we do attend any meetings, we do not represent ourselves as town council members if we're not going to agree to have representation. So we're there as residents only. And so, I don't know if you can make that clear, or we all understand that we cannot speak on behalf of the town or anything. We're there as residents, either listening or offering public comment back to Bolivar.
Okay, let me just say that any of you can attend a Bolivar Town Council meeting on your own. There's nothing prohibiting you from that. There's nothing prohibiting any of you from meeting with the mayor of Bolivar or meeting or going to a town council meeting and expressing concern as a resident of Harpers Ferry. That's up to you, and that's fine. So anyway,
I have a motion.
go ahead.
I move that the town council attend the next meeting of Bolivar Town Council in person and represented by George Owens to listen to the discussion concerning noise from one of their businesses.
I'll second that.
The discussion on the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed?
Nina?
My hand's opposed.
Okay, motion failed.
Good.
All right, community announcements. Hilltop. Laurel's here. Good.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. I'm going to read a letter that I wrote because I'm officially submitting it. And it pretty much gives an update of the issue that has been brought up. So dated today, January 13th, 2025, Dear Mayor Vaughn, pursuant to our recent discussions with you regarding access to the promontory overlook at the Hilltop House site, we are notifying you that as soon as winter weather breaks, we will begin to construct a temporary fence pedestrian walkway. No vehicle access on East Ridge Street to the overlook. This walkway will be available to the public until time the contractors break ground for the hotel and its infrastructure. The walkway will be a straight path to the overlook, and the remainder of the site will be off limits and under security watch due to life safety precautions. The new Hilltop House Hotel is still moving forward as planned. However, some final details have taken longer than anticipated. In 2022, the old hotel was disassembled, with stone pelletization occurring into 2023. Since then, we had construction workers completing tasks on other auxiliary structures and could not open the overlook
due to OSHA guidelines. We believe now we can safely construct this temporary path for public pedestrian access. We appreciate the patience and cooperation of the town during these construction activities and look forward to the new Hilltop House in the future. Sincerely, Laurel Szymanski, Hilltop Project Manager.
Yeah.
No debate, George, and no dialogue. Okay, go ahead.
I have a question concerning the, I'm sorry, my memory is bad, and my hearing is worse. The dates that they would make it open, did you say the cessation of winter, or what was your phrase in your letter?
As soon as the winter weather breaks, we'll get the fence company out there to start laying out the walkway.
Okay. And then the other end of it, you would close it back down when?
We would close it to prepare for the groundbreaking, very close to the groundbreaking date.
To the groundbreaking date.
Yes.
Groundbreaking date. Okay. So during construction, you're saying there would be no access whatsoever.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, Zach.
Thank you.
Just a quick update. Do you have an update on the groundbreaking date for when that would be?
I do not. We are still working. It was longer than anticipated on our TIF bonds, and they need to go through a vote at the Jefferson County Commission. So I'm thinking a couple months.
Thank you, Laurel. Appreciate it.
Can we have a copy of the letter?
Yes, Laurel,
Public
have you
document.
submitted it electronically?
Yeah. I'll just send it, you got a copy, give to me, we'll make copies. Can I have this copy?
Yes.
Okay,
I can also.
we'll make, pass that down to Roberta. Roberta, make sure everybody here gets a copy of it and the storm for the, and then end up giving a copy to Patty, okay? The signed copy.
Okay, all right, very good.
Superintendent, glad to have you here again.
Always a pleasure. Is it on? No, it's just on. Okay. I will, you know, if it's technology, I will mess it up. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Very nice to see you. Happy New Year. I don't have a lot this evening, but I do have a couple announcements to let you know that the park has welcomed 2 new professionals to our team. We have, starting this week, Darlene Hassler will serve as the park's Resource Programs Manager. That's the Cultural and Natural Resources Program Manager. Darlene, a former resident of Harpers Ferry, accepted this promotion after many years as working as the park's Cultural Resource Manager and Section 106 Compliance Manager. So I'm very pleased to announce that. Also this week, we have welcomed Steve Smith as our Acting Facilities Manager. Steve is an NPS veteran. He's coming to us from George Washington Memorial Parkway, and it's a 4-month detail for him while we prepare a hiring package for our permanent facility manager. Larry Moore has been acting as a facility manager for quite some time, and I'm very pleased to be able to relieve Larry of that duty for at least for a short period of time. Other than that, I just have a few reminders for everybody. One, I mentioned in December at our December meeting, that we would be doing deer management again this year. That has started this evening. So just be aware that our law enforcement rangers and our park biologists are out there with our professional sharpshooters to manage the deer population. We do this again with the intent of providing relief to our forests, the seedlings and the saplings that the deer eat, and then the forest does not regenerate. If we do not control the deer, we cannot keep our forest growing back. That is why we conduct deer management. So that's one reminder. Second, you, I'm sure, are aware that there has been a lot of work on John Brown Museum building over the last several months. That's going to continue. We have some 70 windows that need to be repaired or replaced in that building. So you will continue to see the historic preservation teams crew out there working on that probably through the spring. We do not anticipate any problems with, you know, closures of the sidewalk or the roads or anything. They're going to do their very best to minimize that and keep that moving
physically around the building, so we don't really expect any closures or problems there, but we would certainly let Chief Brown know if anything like that were going to happen. And finally, the C&O Canals website is still the best place to get information, updated information on the Byron Bridge closure for the replacement of the staircase on the other side of the river. My understanding is that the construction timetable has been pushed out a few months, but I would encourage everybody to look at C&O Canals website for the most recent updates.
I will say that the superintendent and I, Chief Brown, have been in discussions several times about the bus service that will be used to transport individuals because the footbridge will be closed. So the superintendent and I talked briefly about that this afternoon. And then the other thing is, and I mentioned it to Patty, superintendent, regarding a bicycle issue. Once the footbridge is completed, we anticipate that Lower Town will be flooded with bicycles, and the superintendent and I were talking about that. And so Patty and I got talking about that too. If there's anything the Parks and Rec can do as far as bicycle, what do you call them? Bicycle racks or whatever, to accommodate the projected increase in bicyclists coming into Harpers Ferry. So that's on the horizon as a result of discussions, Tanya, you and I had this afternoon. So thank you for that. And thank you for your patience too in dealing with this. I know it's kind of been a struggle, you know, trying to keep up with it a little bit. So anyway, Roberta?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a couple questions. You're going to start the deer hunt tonight. I'll pray for all the little deers losing their lives tonight. But are we going to hear something? Will we hear shots fired?
I don't know. I don't know personally because I haven't been here for this yet. This is my first deer management operation. Technically, it's not a hunt.
My opinion. Okay, and do you know where they're going to be at? In other words,
I don't know exactly where they're starting.
okay.
I do know I can give you the areas in which the management operations will take place over the next 10 days, depending on weather. That's Schoolhouse Ridge, Bolivar Heights, Murphy Farm, and Maryland Heights.
Okay. So is it going to be closed off to the public? Will there be signs that don't
The park closes at dusk, or
Okay,
30
so-
minutes after dusk, so the park is
Okay,
closed.
so that's the rule. Okay, so it's going to happen at night no matter what. And then what are they shooting only deers that look sick, or anybody is the game? No pun intended.
So the operation generally, we look to take doe because that is a better way to manage the population.
And if they're pregnant?
That is, I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to ask our cooperator on that one.
Okay, last question, I promise. Does the meat go somewhere? Can the meat go somewhere? Does it go to a charity? Does it go to a church? Does it go someplace?
Generally, the National Park Service in this area tries to donate the venison, yes. However, in West Virginia, we are not able to do that based on state regulations.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I consider that an unfortunate situation, but we do the parks in, for instance, on Maryland Heights, we could do that, yes. And we would try to do that, yes.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Go ahead, Chris.
On the bridge project, got a report from the CNO in December that there had been some snags with the scheduling. Do you know if that is related to CSX complications, or are there things that are seriously holding up this project? I'm very concerned that the later that goes, the more it's going to impact the Appalachian Trail traffic and the heavy bicycle traffic.
One of the things that I've learned working for the National Park Service is that projects timetables never quite go the way you want them to go. And so my understanding is that the contracting award was delayed slightly, but that's been taken care of. They've made the award, and now it's just a matter of the contractor getting all of their permitting and everything like that.
So it's no major snag there.
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to 6A with the discussion access to Hilltop, if there's anything else on that. Okay. We'll go to 5A, Treasurer's Reports and Approval.
Okay, so this evening's financials are for the end of November 2024, representing 42% of the fiscal year. This is revision 2 in the general fund. Operating income is at 54% are projected, and expenses are just about 39%. The upcoming discussion regarding revision 3 will address higher than projected income areas as well as expenses. In the waterworks billing, the income is approximately 43.5%. And expenses are at 40%. Division 2 is being proposed later in the meeting to address a few areas of adjustment there as well.
I move to approve the financial reports for November 2024 as presented.
Second from George. Discussion on the motion to approve. All those in favor of the motion to approve, raise your hand.
Yes.
Opposed? Nina?
She voted yes.
She voted yes.
That was me voting yes. I'll just raise my hand
I'm sorry, Nina.
Zoom to make it easy.
Okay. Approval of invoices and purchases.
So the invoices, the list on circulated invoices are here. Any questions on any of them specifically?
I move to approve the invoices and purchases as submitted.
Second from Chris. Any discussion on the motion to approve? All those in favor of the motion to approve? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. Storm?
Yeah, let's do it. So discussion only on WDA grant and CDS funding update. So on the WDA grant, this is the roughly 3.4 million that has been awarded. And is in motion. Preliminary requirements have been met and arrangements are being made with the contractor for their deployment. Anything else that
No,
sure.
we'll have I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a update meeting in January, which will then start to occur monthly, and we'll know more. That'll be the next.
So that's on track.
Will you, may
Go
I
ahead.
ask a question? Will you post that status meeting, so if we are interested in, can attend, will you post that, so we, or you send us an email, like,
It's not like a public meeting.
No, but
I'll send out an email saying that's what it's
yeah,
gonna be. Yeah.
so we know what's going on.
Discussion only on CDS funding update. So this is multi-part. I'll summarize, and then our financial officer can jump in with any details. She is currently working on 3 different fiscal years. The current fiscal year, money from 2024, work continues to define the scope of the water meter replacement project to maximize the amount of funding that's been granted. Then for fiscal year 2025, work is continuing to define the scope of work for the project. And this is all waterworks projects, which will include some additional engineering costs. Most notably, the Washington Street mains are not part of our current engineering plans. So this is something that needs to be worked out and see if we can roll that into the fiscal year 25 CDS. And then fiscal year 26, that is in the works as well. If it doesn't work out to roll Washington Street mains into 25, it can be, we can look at that for 2026 and potentially other projects that lie outside of the current engineering plans. Anything additional?
Yeah, the Washington Street mains issue is probably gonna go into 26. I don't think it's gonna fit in 25. So that is something that you need to think about, though, when we come to 26, is that we probably will need to include engineering in that, as well as whatever's left over from 25 that we don't fit up. There is a little bit of work that we done on Washington Street, but not that actual main. And the only other thing I wanted just to let you know is going on is that we are working with Green Ridge to give us a price for making ready many of the meter pits that have debris and such in them that they're not going to be able to readily reach down in there and replace the meter, and that the work would need to be done to the crocks or something like that. So we're working on getting a price from them to do that, so that we might actually do that outside of the contract itself if it's a reasonable thing out of renew and replace, and just we don't have to include that in our project cost, because that's kind of a bit of a variable and maybe a lower level of cost for us.
The only thing I'll add is I think Debbie, we should probably hear something on the 26th
25.
CDS, probably Marchish.
So, wait, so do you mean the one that has yet to happen or the one that is sitting in Congress?
The one that would capture.
Okay, so that's 25.
Yeah.
25, not 26.
Not 26, I'm sorry, right, you're right.
Right, the federal budget for fiscal 25 has not been approved by the federal government. And yes,
So hopefully,
hopefully by
March.
March, that gets all
Yeah.
resolved, yeah.
all right, thank you, Storm, on that. Go ahead, Storm.
Resolution 3 for the water distribution system to our financial officer.
Okay, so we just have, one invoice on that, which you should have, and that, I'm just gonna read the required verbiage. Resolution number 3 of the town of Harpers Ferry approving invoices related to construction and other services for the water project and authorizing payment thereof, whereas the town of Harpers Ferry has reviewed the invoices attached here to and incorporated herein by reference in relation to the construction of the water project funded by the West Virginia Water Development Authority, EPCG funds, and C&D Construction Trust funds and fines as follows. 1, that none of the items for which payment is being proposed have been requested from another source. 2, that each item for which the payment is proposed to be paid is or was necessary in connection with the project and constitutes the cost of the project. 3, that each of such costs has been otherwise properly incurred. 4, that payment for each of the items proposed is due and owing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of Harpers Ferry that the payment of the attached invoices is as summarized below and are hereby authorized and directed. 1, to DBNF for $4,294.33, adopted by the council, and that'll come out of the CMD funding, adopted by the council of the town of Harpers Ferry at a meeting held on the 13th day of January 2025.
Motion,
Quick question.
go ahead.
This is for the water tanks.
No,
No, this is for the one we just worked on earlier this year, right?
okay, this is for the Water Development Authority project that has been contracted with TerraWorks, and that we, the town is making a contribution with the bond through CNB. This is a bill that has come to the town for engineering services from DDNF. Since the contract has become underway, the work that they have been doing with GDNF and drawings that they have provided, meetings we have met with me and Steve. So they are providing their monthly bill as they will do until the project is over. So this is just a monthly bill associated with the project.
I move to approve resolution number 3 for water distribution project phase 1 as submitted.
Here's a second on approval. Second from Chris, discussion. It's required, I forget, it's
It
required.
does not require a
Okay.
roll call.
All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0, Storm.
Parks and Rec Film Festival event funding. So this was a request that was made through our fiscal year budgeting process. This is the second year for the film festival, which was a big hit last year. And now they're asking, as the bills come in, to be able to pay them. So I move to distribute up to $3,000 to Parks and Rec from 906 Arts and Humanities for film festival expenses for receipt of appropriate documentation.
Second on the motion, second from George, discussion on the motion.
I have a question.
Roberta?
Was this the same amount they received last year?
I have to look that
I
up.
don't think it was the same amount.
A little bit higher or?
I think it's a little lower. Okay, lower.
And they are seeking, again, to have donations, and I believe some will be coming out of Parks and Rec's own budget.
It is the same amount that they requested in the original request of the budget, and that particular discussion over how much was done last year, what they were doing with it, all that was fully vetted in the budget process at the beginning of the year. And as presented now, it has not altered. So I don't think we got into all those details of the meeting as a result.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Other
Who's the
discussion?
second?
I was a second on that.
Okay, is there any other discussion other than Roberta's? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Did I miss Nina's hand?
Nina, were you up on?
I voted yes. It was too fast. I couldn't get the raise hand up.
Thank you, Nina. Discussion and action regarding waterworks FY25 budget revision number 2.
All right, so the income for water budget has been raised in water tax and interest due to actual receipts. The reimbursement for renew and replace has a proposed increase of $7,588.24 due to additional maintenance of mains emergency work that has been performed. In the expense area, small adjustments have been made for 334 new meters and 642.6 rental equipment to make an allowance for future needs. Contracted services under maintenance of mains has been adjusted to allow for additional emergency work performed to date, as well as the preemptive work agreed to by town council in the beginning of the year. Waterworks is to be reimbursed for approximately 40,000 of this work that has been billed to a water customer. The Series 2024, the 2024 Series A bank financing has been reduced by $21,600. The original fiscal 2025 budgeted projected the WJ project to be underway as of July 1, and the full amount of the construction project draw would have commenced at that time. However, we just started the project a few months ago. So far, only a small portion, therefore, has been drawn down on the bond. The adjustment reflects a conservative reduction in the required annual portion of the bond. As we near the end of the year and the WDA project progresses, we will have an idea of how much contracted maintenance of mains works can be absorbed by the operational budget and how much contribution from renew and replace will be required. So basically, this has given us a little bit of cushion. Maybe we can absorb some of this renew and replace work, or we can decide later if you want to pull some of it out from that reserve fund. Lastly, the travel training expense line has been increased to allow for some possible training travel. In this revision, the budget has increased by $9,208.24. Any questions?
I move to approve Waterworks fiscal year 25 budget revision 2 as presented.
Second on the motion. Second from Zach. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, 0. Motion carries 7-0. Storm?
Fiscal year 25 budget revision.
Yep. Okay, so we'll take a roll call vote after this one. Fiscal 25 general fund revision 3 proposes increases in revenue for B&O tax, hotel motel tax, municipal tax, and parking violations based on actual receipts to date. Together, these items are increasing the budget by $50,000. In the expense area, the expense for a department laptop has been added to the police department. The required contribution to 901 Visitor Bureau is added to reflect the increase in hotel motel tax income. 975 general government has absorbed the balance of the increase. It is anticipated that 571 parking payroll will need to be increased for the remainder of fiscal 25. This will be considered under a future revision once Budget and Finance receives a budget plan for that item for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Go
ahead. Call for a motion.
Storm DiCostanzo. Yeah. Oh, of course. Move to approve the fiscal year 25 budget revision as presented.
There's a second. We have a second from Chris. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Storm, since you're sitting in the roll call chair, would you
Yes.
call?
Okay. Roberta Meade Curry.
Yes.
Chris Craig.
Yes.
George Owens.
Yes.
Zach Morse.
Yes.
Mayor Greg Vaughn.
Yes.
Recorder
Yes.
Rena Anna Armstrong.
And, okay, so,
And I vote yes.
and
She
who,
said yes.
She did.
and who made the second?
And that was Chris Craig.
Chris.
So it's approved 7-0.
All right. Storm?
Okay, fiscal year 26 budget planning. So this grew out of discussions that this town council has had and wanting to have some more participation in the process earlier. So we discussed this during budget and finance, and what we are proposing doing is the way it works is we have, and this is for internal and external organizations who come requesting funds. So anything from Parks and Rec to
Library.
to the library. They come and present what they're asking for. After that, there's a discussion that Budget and Finance has to make recommendations and it comes to council. What we are proposing is to have these presentations done in mid-February and to have it be listed as a town council meeting so that any town council members who want to come may do so. It's going to be a discussion only meeting, and we will work up the procedures for it so that everyone will understand the process in getting the information. The vetting will happen later. If we do this, it's important that we have a quorum of town council, because it is a town council meeting. We have to have 4 people or the meeting cannot happen. In prior years, it's just been budget and finance. And we expect the budget and finance will take the lead on this meeting. And then budget and finance, with that input from the folks who came in and discussion that is had among the people at that meeting, will then make its recommendation to town council for the fiscal 26 budget. And then it will formally come before town council at its March meeting for adoption.
Well, March, minor alteration. I think couple things. We chose 3 dates in February that we'd
Yes.
like you to be considering. We need to send out letters to the people who are going to be preparing funding requests, and we need to include those dates in them. So as soon as possible, we need to know your availability on February 18, 19, and or 20. This is often a day and a half session, sometimes all day. These are a lot of presentations that are made, and we do ask the presentations to be very limited, but also allow us a bit of time to have back and forth conversation. So please be aware of the time commitment, and as Storm said, that we needed a quorum for the entire meeting. Then following that on the 26th, we were going to have another special town council meeting if we can get the quorum so that we can then discuss your thoughts on what the funding requests were.
Right, so the first
Right.
meeting, we're receiving information.
Right.
It's that second meeting that's the deliberation.
Right, so it's not, yeah, exactly. And then, as the state requires, in March, and we will probably, with this schedule, be able to have our levy estimate ready in the March regular meeting because of all this discussion already having happened in February. You will have your levy estimate ready and approved to go into the paper in March, as is the requirement, and then you will lay the levy on 3rd Tuesday in April, as is always done all across the state in West Virginia, and every municipality and county that is April 15th. There will be a special meeting to do so. So mark your calendars accordingly.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, we skipped over,
Do you need a motion?
Collection agency.
no,
We'll
we'll,
send out an email and ask you for your availability on those 3 dates so we can get that letter out to our funding requesters.
Okay, question, are you anticipating that those meetings being held during the day?
Mhm.
Okay, because I know on the 18th, planning commission is booked for that evening.
Yeah, they don't ever go that late. They might go a little bit to the 5 or 6 to gather a few people that might not be able to come and talk work, but they don't go that late.
okay, collection agency,
Pardon me, I think we need a motion to do this.
no,
We don't need a motion?
Oh,
So the Budget and Finance Committee is going to convene a meeting of the town council.
no,
Who's going to convene the meeting?
me.
Okay,
I think what he was just saying is that
Call a
budget
special
time needs to steer it.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
yes.
That's what I wanted.
And
Oh,
thanks,
yes.
one last thing. Man, I think this is excellent. I think it adds to the town's accountability, transparency, and communication with town council members, commission members, and the public. So I think this is an excellent change, so thank you for doing it.
All right,
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Jack.
just with that, I also agree, I think this is a great idea. I think it will give a lot of insight into the amount of work that Budget and Finance does to put this all together. So thank you.
all right. Looking forward to seeing everyone, or some subset there. Collection agency, this has been an issue for the town for a while, and adopting a collecting agency will enable the town and waterworks to pursue funds that it is owed. Policies will need to be developed before we can activate the collection agency should we decide to adopt it. The police department already has policies that govern when it can invoke collections, but the waterworks and town hall will need policies. And there's been some work done on that. Also for the waterworks, the PSD, the sewer will also need to sign off on anything we do with regards to waterworks. So 3 services were contacted, 2 did not respond. The one that did is a company called Datamax, and this happens to be the company that is recommended by the Municipal League. So there's still work to be done on the policy end, but this is something that we have a fiduciary obligation to the town to see that what the town is owed can be pursued, and the policies will do it in a way that will, in the best way possible. So I'm moving to assign debt collection services for the town and waterworks to Datamax, pending development of policies and in coordination with the PSD.
Second on the motion, second from George. Discussion. I have one discussion item. Stormwood, could we fit in, Patty's still here? Yeah. Delinquent payments on B&O tax.
We can explore that. I
Can
mean,
we-
that has its own, it has its
Yeah,
own
it's got its
process
own
again,
quirks. I
but,
get that.
but we can look into that. I'd like to tackle the
Yeah.
other 2 first and get them nailed down, but yeah.
And that's encompassed in this, the town and waterworks, and town is both the police department.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I had. Roberta?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Quick question. So this doesn't require any ordinance changes. It's already allowed. It's just basically going to be a policy. Is it already covered under administrative ordinances and et cetera, et cetera? We don't need to do anything ordinance wise.
To my knowledge, we would not be required to have a specific ordinance.
Okay, because you're saying that you don't have this opportunity right now under waterworks and whoever, you don't have the ability to do this now?
Only because it has not been pursued in the past. We have taken upon ourselves in recent months to be in contact with the Public Service Commission, TAC in particular, and they said, absolutely, that is your money, it is due and owing to you, you should be pursuing it. We were sort of misled in the past.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Motion carries, I guess, 7. Yep, thank you, Nina. 7-0. Thank you, Storm Police Chief. Police Chief.
Good evening, Councilwoman. We go over the questions or concerns of what we're doing. Thank the mayor for recognizing the officers for their duties in combating the small fire. We've all experienced that. Could have gotten worse. We've lost several buildings in years past to fires, but luckily, one of the vehicles that we could extinguish the fire. Also, snow removal, things seem to be going well with that. We're trying to stay on top of that, cleaning the roads, sidewalks. Temperatures are going to be dropping again. And from what I've seen in the news today, we're probably going to get another storm. It looks like on Sunday. They're calling for about 3 to 5 inches. So we make sure to be staying on top of that and make sure cornerstone is out. Any concerns or anything we need to do?
Any questions for the chief? Go ahead, Chris.
Not a question, just want to express that we appreciate that coordination with the service, and good to have things as safe as possible in Purpose Area.
Thank you, John. Okay, the OCO report, you've got a copy of that. I do want to thank you, Roberta, for finding a very significant error in here. So that could have been semi-catastrophic if it wasn't for you for finding that. So thank you for diligently going through this and pointing that out. And it has been corrected. Patty has indicated that the correct date is in the paper. The correct date is, yeah, right, where it's posted. So thank you, Roberta, for that.
I want to miss that opportunity. So, all right.
Parks and Rec, Patty or Zach?
Well, good evening, Town Council, Mayor. For Article 14008, 2024 Annual Report to Parks and Rec. Okay. Parks and Rec Commission consists of 5 members who are all residents of Harper's Ferry. We are proud to have the youngest member of any commission or committee serving in town on our team. By the way, she's now 11 years old. She came to us when she was 9. The 2024 December year-end statement for Parks and Rec shows a balance of $3,958.89. On Saturday, January 27th, with over 20 volunteers, Parks and Rec unloaded a tractor trailer that arrived with play structure equipment for the children's park. The parks were stored under the pavilion until March 30th, when the contractor began the installation. Early April, the mulch was delivered. Safety borders were installed on May 5th. Leadership Jefferson began a beautification project on June 12th. The new Children's Park sign had the Children's Park rededication ceremony on Saturday, July 13th. The long-awaited swing set is installed in December. With a few minor additions, this project is almost complete. There's a binder here that is in my office that would like to share with everybody. This is the Children's Park project. We photographed, documented every step of the way. So a big thanks to Avery Van Vliet for starting the project and for joining our team. In addition to the Children's Park project, Parks and Rec organized 10 events in 2024. The year started off with the first annual Harper's Ferry Film Festival, which was March 22nd and 23rd. This was a well-attended 2-day event held at the Mother Training Center. Approximately 75 people attended each night, with different films shown on each night. Participant feedback was extremely positive. The income for the event comprised of $3,000 funding from the town. $1,750 came from sponsors. $3,457.50 from ticket sales and snack sales, for a total of $8,207. Expenses for the event total $5,063.83, leaving a profit, if you will, of $3,200. The proceeds will be utilized for future funding from that past event. The annual Easter egg hunt took place on Saturday, March 30th, with approximately 30 children and 1 squirrel taking part in the hunt, with 322 candy-filled plastic colored eggs, which were hidden around the gazebo. On May 3rd, Parks and Rec organized an event to declare Academy, Ontario, Canada, and Harper's Ferry as sister city. A proclamation was read and a flag received from the town hall, recognizing the establishment of the Sister City Agreement in 2003. Parks and Rec provided refreshments at this event. Music on the Ridge was held on the lawn of Mather Training Center on Saturday, June 8th. Approximately 135 people attended the event, which featured 3 bands. This is the second year that Storer College campus lawn was utilized to stage and sound sound. Although we scrambled at the last minute to replace the headlining band, the event was a success. The Parks and Rec collected $800 in donations. October is always a busy month for us. There were 8 contestants this year in our second annual Scarecrow contest, and we gave out awards for most original, best traditional. Approximately 30 children enjoyed this year's free Art in the Park event, which was held on October 26th. Each child and several adults painted pumpkins and created pumpkin hats and decorated trick-or-treat canvas bags. Many of the pumpkins were donated by Cottage Hall Farms, and Walmart offered us a discount on the additional pumpkins that we purchased for the event. Halloween was celebrated on October 31st. Parks and Rec Commission members handed out trick-or-treat bags for candy for those who stopped by. We had an estimated 24 young trick-or-treaters along with some older groups and some teenagers. The third annual Great Pumpkin Roll Contest was held on November 9th. The crowd was estimated to be over 100 spectators with 45 contestants rolling pumpkins down Columbia Street. Of those, 7 children and 7 adults made it to the target and in the final roll-off. Prizes were donated by River Riders, the Village Shop, Meadows Farms, Tenfold, True Community, and the Harvest Ferry Bookstore. Proceeds from the event in the amount of $450 were donated to the Operation Trail Conservancy to assist families along the trail that were affected by Hurricane Helen. The event was successful due to the volunteers who worked hard in putting all the details together, and a special thanks to Larry Waters and Eric Easton who helped before, during, and after the event, and to Storm D. Costanza, who was our enthusiastic.
I'll take it.
This is kind of long. MC for the day. The lighting of the town Christmas tree took place on December 4th, braving a very cold and windy evening. 10 residents attended the shortest tree-lighting ceremony that we can remember.
Yeah.
Even the hot chocolate would not stay warm. All children in attendance assisted in the tree lighting. The year's event planning concluded with the 5th annual Cookie Walk, which was held on December 14th. With the assistance of 20 local bakers who provided the most incredible cookies this year, this fun family event brought in proceeds of $530. Parks and Rec donated $500 of the proceeds to the Harvest Ferry Women's Club, and we look forward to announcing and launching something. And I'll have a copy of this for you for the record. Any
I
questions?
want to thank you and Zach and Wayne and the Van Vliets for doing what you try to do to bring cohesion to this community. That has not gone unnoticed, and thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. We enjoy it.
Zach?
Quick question, I guess. I know it's not Harvest Ferry Parks and Rec, but the Bolivar Lantern Parade is coming up, and it's a community event. Do you remember the date to share with the folks?
The 25th.
Thank you. Forgot to.
Meeting at the Harvest Ferry.
Thank you.
Okay. If you turn to your agenda, Council, we have reappointments for the Parks and Rec Commission. The chair will open nominations to fill seat number 3 and seat number 2.
You currently occupying seat number 3.
Wayne.
Wayne?
And Wayne has expressed an interest. Is that correct, Patty?
Yeah, I think your packet and I put on there what season.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to nominate Zach,
I'll nominate, Wayne
go ahead,
Bishop for
Roberta. I'm
seat
sorry.
three. I'll nominate Wayne Bishop for seat 3.
Okay, for seat number 3.
So that's just continued for seat.
Okay, are there any other nominations to fill seat number 3? Okay, Storm, would you do a roll call on this?
Roberta Meade Curry.
Yes.
Chris Craig.
Yes.
George Owens.
Yes.
Zach Morse.
Yes.
Mayor Greg Vaughn.
Yes.
Reporter Armstrong.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a vacancy in seat number 2, occupied by Patty Morris. The chair will accept nominations to fill seat number 2. Zach?
I'll nominate Pat Morse to fill seat 2.
Okay. Any other nominations to fill seat number 2? Storm, would you call roll, please?
Roberta Meade Curry.
Yes.
Chris Craig.
Yes.
George Owens.
Yes.
Zach Morse.
Yes.
Mayor Greg Vaughn. The tension, you could cut it with a spoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tried.
Reporter Armstrong.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 7-0.
Thank you, Storm. All right, discussion action on connecting existing Woodpecker Woods Trail to the Cambridge Street. Zach, I believe you have this.
I'll take it. Well, I don't know if we're gonna push forward with action on this, but there's maps here. I think it was part of the packet. You may remember when we talked about connecting East and West Ridge Street via the connection trail. Town council sent that trail project, which was done by Trail and Town Alliance, for oversight with Parks and Rec. And we've had regular updates from them. And as part of those ongoing discussions, they've mentioned a few other projects in town, one of which would be this approximately 75-foot extension of the Woodpecker Woods Trail to reach Cambridge Street. We discussed it. Well, this came to us from the Town and Trail Alliance 1 month. The next month, Parks and Rec discussed it and thought it was a valid consideration. And so I am bringing that recommendation from Parks and Rec to Town Council for discussion. It's pretty short extension. Chris might be able to speak more to it. There is an existing trail in that area. I know there are some concerns that we can hear. I don't think there's like a huge time crunch on this. I defer to representation from Town Trail Alliance, but I imagine they probably wouldn't start work on this until the spring anyway. So if we want to have a longer discussion about this, I think that's okay too. But
okay,
that's
Chris.
Yeah, and I'll just mention that Lexi Grant and Jacob Stitz were invited to come in on this. They both have illness in their family, so they were unable to make it. But it is a short connection, and the main reason we thought it might be of interest was for access by residents along the West Ridge, who otherwise have a bit of a detour to get over that, 10 yards or so forth. And the land is presently just kind of brush and some fallen trees. So it would be kind of minimal work, and like all of the trail to Woodpecker Woods, it would be roughly a two foot wide open trail. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I know that Cambridge Street intersection was down in our stormwater plan for a possible rain garden. And we had talked in Trail and Town Alliance that there might be a good opportunity to coordinate that volunteer effort. Working with possibly Jefferson County or Eastern Panhandle Master Gardeners or the County Conservation District. So I think there would be some opportunity to have a kind of a nice feature there that would solve some storm water issues as well as provide that access to residents in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Roberta?
Yes, I have some points to make, and I became a very quickly informed town council member this afternoon. I did not read this whole book this morning, but I got some pretty pertinent points out of it. Again, this book was brought before us when we were looking at the East and West Ridge Trail Connector. And if you remember, Mayor Vaughn, Wayne Bishop gave us this book on the direction of what you had asked him to prepare some time ago, anywhere from 2013 to 2015. This is the protocol that we're supposed to be following and adopted apparently in 2015 when a trail and proposal is coming before us. And in this set of documents, it outlines several things that need to be done when a trail is presented to us. And I'll go over some of those quickly. A use inventory needs to be done, a survey needs to be done, especially where there's steep slopes and stream valleys, which this is proposing that when the stream valleys and slopes exceed 25 to 90%. We need to see what the erosion control and mitigation program will be, what the storm water management and mitigation will be, outline the benefits to the town, follow the design guidelines when it talks about signage, steps, handrails, bridges, whatever is going to be required, potential liability to the town, the insurance coverage, what is our potential liability when this is going to be open to the public, the sequencing issues, and again that's explained in here. I'll go to that. Highlight the town's historic structures and views that may not be applicable for this small piece of trail. Present a maintenance and upkeep program. Present a signage package. develop a trash removal, junk and debris removal before the trail is started. I understand there's quite a lot of debris right at the end of Cambridge Street that's actually maybe blocking what might happen to the connector to Cambridge Street. Letters of correspondence from abutting and adjacent and nearby residents and property owners, that was established during the Ridge Street east to west connector. I think we need to see that here again for this. And confirmation that the National Park Service has reviewed and approved this trail. Again, that's all outlined in this set of protocols. Also of concern, this protocol established that the Planning Commission and Town Council work together to review the trails before they're approved. In 2014 and 2015, Mayor Vaughn, Parks and Rec, Planning Commission established this set of protocols, and it also is in conjunction with the West Virginia statewide trail plan of 2002 and 2010. So I think we don't have that information yet presented by the Trail and Town Alliance, and I would like that to be done. We also don't know what this trail looks like right now because it's covered in snow. And we don't know how severe those slopes are and what is happening on the thing. So I have a motion prepared that I'd like to make if we're through with discussion.
Go right ahead.
One question, did Planning Commission make a recommendation or are you just bringing this as information?
So this, for clarification, this came out of the ongoing work with Trail and Town Alliance through Parks and Rec, which is why it's under the Parks and Rec section here. It was their recommendation. Parks and Rec did review it from the perspective that Chris brought up of just access from West Ridge as opposed to going around the Putnam for Woodpecker Woods. So Planning Commission has not looked at this one.
What was the position of Parks and Rec on this? Zach, does Parks and Rec support this initiative?
Yes, Parks and Rec voted, I believe it was unanimously in favor of this. It was viewed that it was a pretty short trail. I have walked back there a couple times. There are some steeper slopes that could be addressed. I think this sort of veers to the left or west of the steepest slopes, which you wouldn't want to walk down anyway. But all of the analyses that were just brought up have not been delved into in depth. And so I think since we're still in the dead of winter, and if we have time before construction would start, if we wanted to send this via planning or Parks and Rec and Trail and Town Alliance to get more information, we certainly could do that before making a motion.
Okay. Thank you. Chris, did you have something before
Well,
Roberta goes?
I was just going to comment. It's my understanding that this plan was developed at one point by Parks and Rec. It was never adopted by the town council, is my understanding. Do you have that in the minutes or?
I don't have it in the minutes, but I do have it in, I have all this information. It was basically discussed by town council and planning and Parks and Rec, and this is the documentation that shows that they agreed that this protocol should be followed. And in order for any trail to come forward, because it has to meet so much criteria, that they opted that this was the best thing to do. So I would like to make a motion and to this effect. So the motion to postpone this agenda item number 5A.3 for town council and refer this proposed extension of Woodpecker Wood Trail to Cambridge Street to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation, citing those particular items that need to be presented as part of this plan.
I second that motion.
Discussing on a motion.
I have discussion.
Go ahead, George, then Zach.
I was listening. My concerns were contained within the list, the long list that Roberta brought up. I took a look at the end of Cambridge Street back when we were approving putting a house down there on the right-hand side. And I talked to one of the neighbors, Mr. Keel. He told me that there is an aggressive runoff sheeting problem that has not been addressed with that house being put down at the gravel put down to accommodate that house. It's at this point in the year, and there's too much snow in the ground and there's too much snow in the way for us to take a look at what the problem is. I dug around and found a great deal of siltation on that street. Also, I found a 5-foot drop off at the end of what the travel section of that street. It's a severe matter and very severe slopes. Now, I'm greatly concerned about erosion. And I'd like, us to take a look at it after the thaw. And I'd also like us to take a look at the connector trail because there is an extremely erosive bank that is developed on that. This isn't an idle concern when we're talking about erosion. Also, as a speaker to our meeting pointed out, there was a property owner. I was sitting in a meeting when this property owner was given, I don't remember his name. Now I'm remembering Jackson, was told, there's restrictions of what you can do with this paper street. We subsequently, a few years later, authorized the building of a house on the other side of the street from where this man's property was, his family's property. And I wasn't thinking about Mr. Jackson when we did that. In fact, I was on planning and I objected to putting that house down there. Now I'm sitting here remembering Mr. Jackson and thinking, how did we say no to Mr. Jackson and say yes to this other house? That's another matter I know. But I really think that we owe it to the property owner of Drake, the family, to talk to him about that street end before we put a trail tracing down there next to a place that this person may want to put a homestead. I think that would be a great courtesy. So I want to support Roberta's motion, and I feel all it is us taking a good long look at this, and I think that's well deserved. Thank you.
Zach.
Yeah, I agree with what said. I think that getting additional input is a great idea. I just want to point out that this is on town property, so it's within our right if you want it. It's already right of way, so people can walk there. And the other caveat I wanted to make is that we'll get into this in the next item. The planning commission agenda for next week is already pretty full. So if we are sending this to planning, it might not get there until the following month. But I think again, there's not a huge time crunch on this. So that's all.
Yes, and then a quick question, maybe Chris can answer this. Does DNR also need to be contacted? Is it their part of they're responsible for that little piece as well? So DNR needs to be part of the approval process?
Well, the trail presently is blazed on DNR land with their permission and as part of the MOU that Trailer County has with DNR. So this would just be access for the neighborhood to those trails.
But we don't have to have DNR give us something in writing.
No.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Sorry, I was yes.
Thank you for that.
All right, planning. Zach, planning commission report.
Yes, so planning commission had our meeting last month, discussed a number of things. I know we still have a lot to get through. So in brief, the comprehensive plan, which will now be the 2025 comprehensive plan, is still in motion. We're having another meeting with the WVU consultant this month, and hopefully it will be coming through the process here within the next month or two. We discussed the High Street update project in Lower Town, and Planning Commission does want to have a special meeting to walk the site in person. We are waiting a little bit until light stays later in the day so we can all see it in the daylight and just get eyes on that before we make official recommendations to town council as was requested. I think that's all. Oh no, the other big one is that next Tuesday, January 21st, we have a public hearing related to potential rezoning of a property on Lower Washington Street. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but 460. Thank you. So public comment will be heard at that public hearing, which is at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Will be followed by a regular planning commission meeting, and public comment can be submitted via writing to the clerk at Harpers Ferry. We just ask that people include their name and address so we know who submitted the public comment, and it will be read into the record at the meeting.
Okay, Zach, let me know about the High Street. I will try to get DOH officials there to be there with you.
Yeah, I think that there were some questions about some like the funding of it all, which I didn't have the details of, so it would be great to connect and just pass that along.
Just let me know.
Yep.
Discussion action on updating Harpers Ferry floodplain ordinance.
All right, buried F2 is possibly the most important piece on the agenda tonight. Every few years, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management agency updates their floodplain maps with new data. In this case, they have updated the floodplain map for the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, including Harpers Ferry, which with new LiDAR data shows very accurate elevations of properties in town with relation to potential flood levels when water dries. As a result, several properties, I don't remember the exact number, but there are several new properties which are now included in the floodplain. Planning Commission generally deals with floodplain things. Jesse Milton, who spoke earlier tonight, went to a meeting, FEMA meeting on our behalf, gave a great presentation, which I am now paraphrasing very briefly. Essentially, what has to happen is that Harpers Ferry needs to update its floodplain ordinance, which is already on the books, based on FEMA's boilerplate floodplain ordinance, which has been updated as well, in order for folks in the floodplain to qualify for federally backed flood insurance. So this is extremely important that we do it, and there is a timeline that FEMA has set. So I think the important action tonight is to send or request that ordinance review look at updating that ordinance, which I'll make a motion to in a second. The one extra bit is that in our normal ordinance approval process, it goes to ordinance review, they present it to town council has a first and second reading, and then it becomes official. In between the first and second readings, the floodplain ordinance must be sent to FEMA for their approval. So there's one extra step that could take time. And I don't have all of the dates, but if we get this going now, everything will be fine in terms of the dates. So that said, I guess I should also say that it will fall to the Planning Commission to notify property owners who now fall within the floodplain. Most are actually Park Service properties, so I don't know if it might just be one letter rewrite, but we'll keep folks up. Well, I think we still have to. We may have to.
Take money out of one pocket and put it in the other. Yes.
I will say all of the newly included properties in the floodplain are on Potomac and Shenandoah Streets. Nothing in Upper Town. If any of the other houses were underwater, we'd have a bigger problem, I think.
It'll be a heck of a flood.
Yeah. So I have a motion, but I can hold.
Roberta, you got a quick question?
Okay, quick question, since I'm the chair of the ORC, so we're going to play a critical role in this, gentlemen. So we definitely need to know the dates so that we can start planning with you and do any kind of special meetings that might be required for those dates.
So good.
Go ahead, Zach, with your motion.
Yeah, so I move that town council ask ordinance review committee to update the Harpers Ferry floodplain ordinance based on the example ordinance provided by FEMA.
Second on the motion. Second from George. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Nina? Okay, we are 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Steve?
Okay, I was not here last month, so I have numbers for water for both last month and this month. Last month, I guess didn't look too bad, 42%. Water. This month was 51. What? 51.
51%.
So I need to just run those numbers. Ryan was out on Friday, driving around just to kind of see if anything's evident. It did take that shown up on Fillmore Street. That we will do that today with breaking the temperature. But I'll go in again and see if we can make some kind of determination of why it jumped. Our Class 3 operator, Brandy Schlinkneck, is fully spun up to speed at this point, largely, well, her own court, but also thanks to Tom Hall, who has been doing a tremendous job with training her. Chris Dyer has been cleared by his condition to return to work, so he is starting at 5 o'clock on Wednesday morning. So gonna check him in and make sure everything's good. He's gonna Wednesdays we overlap with 2 operators. this work in the morning, Brandy will work the afternoon and evening. So I'll give them 2 or 3 hours to overlap and work together. And get this back up to speed there. On what we did have a contractor, actually this was at recommendation of Chris Eckenman. We did have did have a service to our chlorine room, which were a couple of units that had the automatic controllers that essentially were wearing out on us. So had those repaired. We had some recommendations from them. First off, what to do to try to reduce the likelihood that they'll wear out as quickly as they have this instance. But we've also asked them to put together a recommendation on, quite honestly, rebuild that room. So that's something that brings back to you folks. They're not involved in the original design and felt that certainly things that should be attended to in the design. So we'll have more information back to the group. And then thirdly, and I guess it does relate to the original comment and the agenda item coming up with regards to the railway project. We do have a West Virginia Rivers Eltron State Water Ferry meeting on the 28th. That group is fully aware of the situation. Members of that group and certainly West Virginia Rivers has been participating in those meetings. So we will be discussing what kind of a public, station might come from again that group, and that is really our source water protection plan. Calls for it and advise very heavily on participation in members of that group. That's really our source water. As stated, I think that Mike Mark were here tonight. Remind us of I think it was Dan Hitt who says that, well, drinking with chicken fries at the same point. Anyhow, and I have, as you may recall, I have spoken to on behalf of both my position, working for Town of Harpers Ferry, but also as Mayor Bolivar. I have spoken to Jefferson County Planning Commission on the last public meeting regarding not this project, but regarding their comprehensive plan as a whole. And at that meeting, there were numerous comments about what the county really needs to do to look at and review their water plan. Given all the buildings, not just this bond, but this issue.
Okay. Any questions for Steve? Roberta, real quick.
Question, your January 28th meeting is when and where, or what time?
I think it's at 11 o'clock.
11 a.m.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm meeting here, if it's a virtual.
Okay, could you send all of us that information?
Chris has got it. He's on that list.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Historic landmarks up. Okay, no report?
No report.
Okay, you got an update on the Weaver House project, George?
There was no update, no meeting.
Okay. How about the discussion action regarding disbursement of funds?
No discussion. Oh, well, okay, we didn't have a meeting, so if you have an update on this.
Well, the first submission for payment has been submitted to me, and apparently work with the forms since November. And they've completed the first approximately second phase, according to the report I have. I have submitted this to SHPO to inquire about the process. SHPO has asked for the work that was done to be presented to them for review before they approve any
meeting.
from us.
Right.
And so, that all came in last Monday. Have a conversation with Sugar Book at the end of the week. And so now they are in touch with, to try to get the actual work of form to be presented in the proper format to be put up for approval. So I would imagine that should all come together, although your representative on this project should be able to say right now, the role involved there. I would imagine though by the end of, by the next meeting, that may come to you for approval.
Sure.
Okay.
Let me speak to you that after, perhaps tomorrow, we can arrange schedule of the next meeting around, this presentation of information. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Quick question.
Roberta, go ahead.
And I see the survey stakes are there, so that was just the land survey, not so much the structural survey.
I do not know.
Don't know.
We're awaiting the description.
I'm sorry?
We're awaiting the description.
Okay.
All right, agenda item, Board of Zoning Appeals, discussion action regarding reappointments to the BZA. We have two incumbents whose seats are up, and we have the same incumbents who have expressed an interest in re-upping. So nominations are open for seat number 4, which is currently occupied by Lynn Petriconis, and she has expressed an interest in reserving on the BZA. Chair will accept nominations for seat number 4.
I nominate Lynn Petriconis.
Are there other nominations for seat number 4? Do a roll call, please.
Roberta B. Curry.
Aye.
Chris Craig.
Yes.
George Owens.
Yes.
Zach Morse.
Yes.
Mayor Greg Vaughn.
Yes.
Recorder Armstrong.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Seat number 5, we have an incumbent in that seat, and that is Kurt Christensen. Kurt has expressed an interest in serving again for seat number 5. Chair will open up nominations for seat number 5. Zach.
I nominate Kurt Christensen for
Other-
seat number 5.
Other nominations for seat number 5. Nominations are closed. Do a roll call vote.
Roberta B. Curry.
Aye.
Chris Craig.
Yes.
George Owens.
Yes.
Zach Morse.
Yes.
Mayor Greg Vaughn.
Yes.
Recorder Armstrong.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 7-0.
Thank you, Storm. IOC, Roberta.
For me.
The other person.
I'm sorry, Nina.
Just a brief update. We're still working with the website company on getting things kind of starting the initial process of the website company. Currently, they are auditing our current site to kind of pick out categories and do some data extraction. I spoke with them a couple days ago. They're working on that process, and when they reach sort of an endpoint, have something to present, which should be within the next week or two, IOC will be meeting again to review that with them. So we'll just keep doing updates as that progresses.
Okay, any questions for Nina?
And the logo?
The logo is almost ready to go. I had another round of feedback to provide, and that will be presented in February.
Okay, thank you, Nina. New business discussion action regarding Jefferson County Foundation's request for a letter regarding groundwater extraction for water bottling plants. Chris?
Yes. First off, I want to thank Natalie and Juliana for their time tonight. And I see Chrissy Weimer has arrived, the president of Jefferson County Foundation. And we have, as you know, talked a bit about this in the council meetings. The Water Commission has discussed it some. As Steve mentioned, we talked about it at the Elk Run Watershed meetings. There's great concern. The main impact for Harpers Ferry is so much unknown about the water availability, and already where we've had to rely on the Potomac River beyond our primary source of Elk Run and Elk Branch. And so this has been batted around a bit. And I know, I believe Roberta attended one meeting that the county had, but this is our chance to weigh in our only chance to weigh in before a public workshop that the Jefferson County Planning Commission holds. Is that February 4th?
Oh, the 19th. Public comment is due the 4th.
Okay.
Commented.
And so I drafted this letter with the help of Chrissy. And she sent to me one correction that did not get into this. I mentioned the water board, the county water board, and she corrected me that the actual name is Jefferson County Water Advisory Committee. And, you know, if others have concerns, please throw out your suggestions or ideas now, but otherwise, you know, I think it's good to present this or some substitute to the Jefferson County Planning Commission.
I think this is excellent. I have one question and a brief comment, which the question is, do we want this to be reviewed and endorsed by our planning commission as well, since it's going to the Jefferson County Planning Commission? I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I'd be willing to cram it into our next agenda if so. And then my only other comment is that in paragraph 3, I might consider striking the word ordinarily, because we do rely on Elks Run. That's the only
Where is
comment.
that?
Line 3 of paragraph 3. This is we ordinarily rely on Elks Run, and I understand that because we can switch to the Potomac River as discussed in the rest of the paragraph, but it might be a stronger statement to say we rely on it.
In paragraph 2. Paragraph 2.
Oh, sorry, paragraph 2.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Ordinarily, strike. Do you want to say solely rely on, or?
I think just cutting ordinarily to say we rely on Elks Run.
Okay.
Sure. It's it hints at right, but yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. As Zach, as regards to, we want this to go to planning and get their input. I'll tell you on these kinds of things, you go to the highest dog for the impact, and that would be this council. So I would think that we should not get planning commission involved. These things, it's the big dogs that make a difference. Not demeaning the planning commission, Zach. It's just a fact of life. Roberta?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I commend these ladies for waiting for this tonight. We should have bumped you up from the schedule, so I apologize for sitting here. I attended that first public hearing as a resident, and I spoke against it, okay? And I commend every single one of the people. I understand that meeting went from very late that night, over 100 people to speak. I commend every one of the speeches that they made. They were spot on. They had the research, and I appreciate it, and it was excellent. So I think we should do this. I don't know if we need to also add in some of the data that they have. I think they have beautiful data, okay? Also, we understand that this site, I drove by the site this weekend, drove through Middleway, it's a cute little town, reminds me of Sharpsburg. The site is old, it's got its ghosts. It is a super fund, and it's toxic from what we understand. So do we need to maybe add some of that language into here, that we are fearful of this property that's toxic? They put on the record, the developer put on the record that it's a super fund. It's a toxic, contaminated piece of land.
All right, Storm, before I answer that, go ahead, Storm.
I'll make a motion. I move to authorize the mayor to sign and submit the draft letter as amended regarding groundwater extraction for the benefit of water bottling plants in Jefferson County to the Jefferson County Planning Commission.
Or second on the motion, second from Zach, discussion. Let me answer Roberta's question. Roberta, it's been my experience with these things. The shorter it is and the impact, more of an impact they will have, hard hitting, short. We don't want to go into a lot of minutia, and I'm not degrading the statistics. I get that. But once you start going down there, you lose the audience you're trying to impress. So I would opine that we don't go and add all of this necessary or unnecessary. Chris, and then
the other thing I mention is that we kind of wanted to focus just on the direct impact on Harper's Ferry, and that is this danger that, you know, we're gonna get past the point of sustainability for our water source. So that's what I focused on.
Okay,
And
George?
briefly, my reason for backing brevity of this, other than the fact that brevity is the soul of wit, is that this is a statement of conclusions, not information leading to conclusions, and thus the data really would be not.
Okay, just didn't know if it carried more weight.
Roberta, second and last.
Yes, so, sir, I would like this letter to be signed by each and every one of us on this town council.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that also.
Please. I
Yeah, we are the
personally would
governing
like to
Yeah,
have a
we'll
letter.
make that on the
Yes.
signatory line.
Yes.
Yep. All right, Zach?
Yeah, but if the second is agreeable,
Yeah.
The second agreeable to amend
Yeah.
the motion.
Yeah.
I seconded it. I have agreeable.
Oh, I thought I did. I'm
I
sorry.
got it.
All right, do we have an amended motion? I don't think we do.
Who's
Uh,
gonna change?
To include town council members
okay.
as signatories.
All right, there's a second on that. Discussion on the motion, on the amendment. All those in favor? Go ahead, Zach, before I call for a vote. Go ahead.
My discussions on the main amendment, it's not, I guess it's a point of, I don't know, clarification. Do we want to, in that amendment, include making this letter a part of the minutes to this meeting so that it's in our records as well? 'Cause I don't know if the letter itself gets entered unless we make a motion.
I think that's at what point.
Yeah, that would if you want.
I mean, we could do that.
But we're still on the amendment to the main motion.
Okay, any other discussion on the amendment to the main motion? All those in favor of the amendment to the main motion? Opposed?
And who's the second?
All right, it'll be Zach. Okay, now we're at the main motion. Am I correct on that?
You wanted to do another.
Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I move to add that we officially include this letter in the minutes to this meeting.
Is there a second on that? Second from George, discussion on amendment number 2. Hearing none, all those in favor of amendment number 2? Opposed? Amendment carries. Number 2. We got a motion, we got a second discussion. All those in favor of the main motion? Opposed? 7-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jefferson County
Yes.
Foundation.
Discussion and action on revising the town's 2024-25 inclement weather. You have a copy of that. That's fairly straightforward. You're all underlined in yellow. Okay. I do want to make a change based on some late information and some discussions with Patty and Steve and Debbie and myself late this afternoon. If you look at the first 2 lines, the first sentence of this, we would like that to be changed to read this.
Can you read it?
What did I say?
Can you read it?
Oh,
Yeah.
so the first sentence that you have in yellow, scratch it, and it should be officers of the police department and essential operators of the water department, as determined by the PWA, are considered essential employees and are expected to report to work during inclement weather. That's the only change. This really clarifies our responsibilities for compensation. We had some questions about when does the emergency take effect, and we use the schools, but then we say, well, what if we have an emergency on a Saturday or a Sunday or a holiday? There is no school. How do we compensate somebody that's required to come in? So that's why we added the other part of this that's highlighted in yellow. Patty, did you want to add anything else, or am I fumbling through okay? Okay. Go ahead, Roberta.
Yes, quick question, and this is a policy. Again, my question is, as ORC chair, do you need to direct ORC to do anything in your administrative code or in zoning codes or anything?
No. Okay. Chris?
Can I move to
Absolutely.
adopt the amendment to the inclement weather policy.
Thank you. Is there a second on that? Do we have a second from Zach? Discussion on adopting the amendment. All those in favor? Opposed? 0. Now we go back to.
Nope.
No, you're right.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm waiting. I just want another. I want to put another motion out there.
I included the word amendment. in my
Yeah, right.
motion, So that confused.
Yeah, don't lose the paper.
Wait,
Let's go to D. No, we're not going to D. We're going to E. Discussion action regarding U.S. Post Office lease renewal. Patty, do you have that one? Okay. Yeah, just real quick. What this is all about, and we go through it every 5 years?
I think
3 years or 5 years? Yeah.
And they are currently in their last option to renew. The lease does expire in June. Post office, there's an agency who works with the post office who does their leases, and they submitted a draft renewal. It's pretty thick. I'm gonna have to do it to negotiate. And so I was asking the mayor who really want to go through this lease with a fine tooth comb and do the lease negotiations. Do you want me to do it, or do you want council involved? So I just wanted to bring that to our attention. The agent calls me indefinitely, and I keep putting him off and putting him off and telling him, I know it's 6 months down the road, but they do move rather slowly. So I told him we didn't look at it first of the year. So here we are.
Okay, so what do you want, or are you proposing?
Well, I didn't know if maybe anybody else to review it besides me.
Yeah.
Well, it could go to budget and finance.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
It could go to budget
Yeah.
and finance for the monetary piece.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking nuts and bolts about parking. They have a diagram for parking. They pretty much took our entire parking lot. The
Yeah.
answer to that is no. We need to look at maintenance. Typically, the landlord is responsible. As you all remember, last summer was a very difficult time with the air conditioning, and it was months before that got straightened out. I have been down at the post office many times. It is in need of maintenance and repairs. Who is actually responsible? They should have a cleaning service. They don't. So there's a lot of small things in there that we need to go through, which I don't know if budget and finance will take care of that or not. But it is a big document, so I would like somebody to work with me in going through it.
You volunteer, George?
Well, actually,
Your
I was
hands
gonna
up.
volunteer. The other thing I was gonna say, I agree with Pat. I'm a bit familiar with slogging through this. We're not talking about financial decisions so much as we're talking about how to deal with a tenant. And earlier this year, I spoke with the head information officer, retired for the entire post office service, about our case. And I don't want to air the advice he gave to me here in the open, but let's just say, when they own the building, they pay a lot more attention to how it's taken care of than when somebody else owns the building. So we're in a situation of being a landlord, and we got to figure out who's going to be the property manager. Now, somebody I know who's involved in commercial real estate. Do you know anybody like that, Pat? You?
Yes.
Yeah, that was her. For a long time.
That's why I'm
Okay.
willing to do it, but I would like somebody from council to.
Patty,
review
when's
it.
it due? I
Well,
forget.
it has to, their lease expires in June. So of course they want it tomorrow so that they
Yeah.
can, go through their, fine tooth comb and their, back and forth negotiation. Maybe it won't be a difficult challenge, but it is a thick document and we would like another pair of eyes on it.
Okay. Are you willing to?
I was going to volunteer to work with,
Okay.
with Pat on this.
Why don't we do that, and then we'll turn it over to Storm
Yes.
with budget and
There's a money
finance.
angle on it,
Okay.
which there probably will be.
Compare what we've been getting, what is
Yeah.
the market rate? And typically, federal agencies do pay lower than the market, but they can pay a little higher.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
Then
do
what
that.
is proposed?
There is no requirement that we write them a long lease on June 1st. We can write them if they try and mess with us and we don't like it, we can we can
Well,
fudge.
technically, we'd like to get our ducks in a
We'd
row.
like to.
All right, George, keep this conversation
Fine.
down. Okay.
Yeah, so I would be
Thank
happy
you.
to have George work.
Yeah. Roberta, real quick.
Yes, I would also like to volunteer to work on that. I do have experience writing leases, but you know, working with commercial property. But I do would like to add something. I don't know if we have a clause in that lease, and I assume this is a no smoking building, right? But you know, if we're truly going to preserve our water and watch what happens that flows downhill into our waterways, then I would like something to be taking care of all those cigarette butts and all that stuff that's out there on the back porch and landing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All right.
So, if we can tighten up whatever clause you may have or not have in that, lease, I think that needs to be included. They also leave the lights on, onto the building, and if we're gonna be truly dark sky, we need to have those lights turned off during the day.
The
lights are on
exterior is
during the
us.
day.
It's up. And
Yep.
we're working on it. Okay, we're working
All
on
right, bring up all those good ideas, okay?
So may I work with this team and
Yeah, yeah,
do
that's
you need a
fine.
motion to create
No,
an ad
no
hoc
motion.
committee?
No,
Okay.
no,
All right, very good.
don't need a motion. All right, last item. You should have, this is the discussion in action regarding developing a plan or strategy for the vacant floor space in town hall. That's the old liquor store. This goes way back. I know many years ago, Verlissa put together a floor plan on how to deal with the vacant thing, and I remember sitting around this room with Verlissa and a couple other people on the council at that time. Was it Debbie and Christian and yeah, and Roberta? That's right. And the only reason I put it on here is that this, at the request of John Brown, he has an officer who is a contractor. Okay, when he's not officering in Harper's Ferry, and he kind of put this thing together as just something for us to think about and cogitate.
Sure.
My point is, we need to do something and think about this liquor store. It is a town asset that is sitting there vacant, and nothing has been done with that in at least 5 years, John, or I don't know how long it's been vacant, but quite a while since the last time I went in there to buy a Coke. So this is no action. It is, we've got an asset, guys and guyettes. We need to take a good look at this, because next thing you know, there'll be another town council that'll be coming in here in July, and they're going to be looking at it. And then when that town council leaves, this thing is going to take on a life of its own of doing nothing. And so that's my only thing of jogging us to our senses. We don't have the money for this. I get it, but at least we could come up with a plan that we can agree to, which is very suitable, particularly for the police department and the water clerk, fulfilling their needs. And then maybe possibly we can do this thing in stages. Remember, we cannot encumber another council meeting with a debt, a town council with a debt. So that puts restrictions on us. So again, this is just there, and let's not forget about this thing. Zach, and then Roberta.
This has, I'll just say this has come up on planning commission's radar too, not just the space downstairs, but renovations to this building in general. I don't know how many times I've pulled my chair back to the table because I'm rolling backwards.
You end up over there.
Yeah, so I think the general idea is once planning finishes the comprehensive plan, we're going to work towards an infrastructure plan. And so I think this could be put in context with other renovations to the town hall if we want, as part of a longer term goal.
Okay.
But yeah, hard to think that far ahead until we get the comprehensive plan out of the way.
I just think something has to be done soon. Roberta?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I was part of that committee, the ad hoc committee. We presented lots of plans. That's my forte. I help them out. That's what I do, what I do, space planning, interior design, and do commercial design. So I'm willing to work on that ad hoc committee again. In fact, I wouldn't mind making a motion tonight, which you do have discussion and action, that we reform that ad hoc committee consisting of maybe myself, the previous people that were on it, and get this either resolved, a finalized plan. Is it also the intent that does the town really need to get the revenue from a tenant versus putting more offices here? Is it really, we need the revenue versus moving ourselves in there?
Yeah, we looked at, Patty, refresh my memory. Didn't we put this out for bid when Wayne was mayor? And you had a prospective tenant? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, Roberta, and the other 5 of you weigh in. I'm not sure that we need a formal motion on something right now. My objective, Roberta, I'm putting this on there, was just jog us to our senses that we do have an asset that's sitting down there. We have a nice thing that Chris Hill put together for us. We have past things that Verlissa worked on and John worked on. I think if we put it into motion, I'm not sure we're there yet. I really don't know why I put it on the agenda, other than say, we got an asset. Let's do something with it, you know?
Storm, just speaking to the financial part of it, just, what we would see in the lease would not be material to the town's finances. If we're redeveloping the whole thing, maybe, but if we're just talking about the small space, it wouldn't really move the needle.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
Would not move the needle in this.
But at least it's income. We need income. We're hurting.
Chris, and then
I
George.
was curious on the sheet. It has prior plan, and then it's like the larger one is a revision.
Yeah.
When was that done? And by when?
Well, I don't know when the original plan was done. Do you know, Verlissa, when it says for prior plan?
At least 2 years.
For quite a while.
And so this revision on the top is something new, or?
Chris came up with one plan, but some things were added in that wasn't needed.
Oh,
We
yeah.
modified it, looked at some things and talked about it, so we redid this plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had.
But it's not what we originally had came up with in Mac. Because we've changed it multiple times when the needs of what we thought we needed the space for.
Yeah.
Well, certainly the idea of getting the police office and the water office down in that corner much more accessible to the public than a lot of elderly people that have difficulty getting up here. I think that would be a real advantage.
Let me ask George. I'm sorry. While John's here, John, did you want to add anything on this? I mean, it does have an impact on you, whatever we decide.
We are outgrowing the area that we are currently in. I'm storing stuff in my office. Storage room is running over, and our revenue from it's time for us to move in a direction where we can better suit and be prepared for the future.
George?
I think there's a lot of things to consider. One is to move water clerk down on street level. Is that person being placed in a dangerous situation for people coming by, given the fact that they have money on it?
No, this will be a protected area.
Okay, I mean, I don't know how well you can protect, and the other matter is, I had a question for you, Greg. This storage thing that Larry's using out a lot, are we paying rent on that?
Are we doing what?
There's a storage box that I understand we're paying rent on out in the back lot that Larry uses.
I don't know. Debbie, are we? Okay, we are.
Yeah, that's been going on for years.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to find out if there would be financially to our advantage to make a modification to get rid of that thing, which would give us some parking spaces, by the way, and move his needs into a portion of the building. There's a lot of considerations.
That was one of the things. That
was part
so
of it.
I think it's a good thing that we got this on the table to talk about.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else? Anything else on this item? All right, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion from George. We have a second from
Yeah, that's
Storm.
Nina.
Well, from Nina.
Oh, Nina, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So we got Nina on there. All right. All those in favor of adjourn. Opposed, none. We are adjourned at 9:08, Storm, 9:08.
Hey, Nina, you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
I'm gonna move forward towards the camera. I want to show you something. I understand that you may have some issues with cold hands. My son gave me some cool things for Christmas.
Ooh, fancy.
They got 3 speeds for heat with a button on the left.
Fancy.
Isn't that fancy? Okay.
Have a good night, guys.
Yep.
Thanks, Nina.